This is an interview on the 29th of April 2006 with Ormond Alexander McAndrew, VX106101, V127033, Private, 39th Battalion, C Company, 15th Platoon. Orm, can you please tell us how you came to join the 24th Battalion in December 1941?
Oh, I got called up, or conscripted, or whatever you like to call it.
And you were at the time living in the Croydon Lilydale area?
Yeah, Montrose, yeah.
And the 24th Battalion was based up at Ngambie Road?
Yeah, Seymour, yeah.
And what did your training consist of at the time?
Marching and that sort of thing, not much training at all, you know.
At the time you were with the 24th Battalion, you came out after a certain time because your mother was a widow, and then you went back in.
Yeah, but that wasn't, I think we only did about 3 months training and let us out again, you know. It wasn't anything to do with my mother. No, it was just, you know, the 3 months and they let us out and then they called us back again when, you know, when the Pearl Harbor business, you know, as you said on one of those things, you know.
Prior to joining the 24th Battalion, you were a butcher by trade.
Yeah.
And you did some butchering in the 24th Battalion.
Yeah.
And you had to provide meat for the officers. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Provide meat for them all, but the officers got the tough steak and the C Company got the good stuff.
So C Company would have been pretty happy with you as their butcher?
Probably, yeah. But I only did it to relieve the other two blokes that were butchering. They were on leave and I did it a couple of times for them, you know. But the officers always got the crook stuff. And yeah.
Can you remember when they were asking for volunteers for the 39th?
Oh yeah, when I was in the 24th, yeah, definitely. And 5 of us volunteered, you know.
Can you remember the other 4 names?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Who were they?
Well, Jeff Solomon, Spriggy Kelson, Ken Barnett and Colin McMillan.
So the whole 5 of you as a group, and you were good mates, joined
Oh yeah.
joined the 39th Battalion?
Yeah, we came out of 15th Platoon C Company. Yeah, 24.
After leaving the 24th Battalion, where did you go? Up to Queensland for some training?
To Woomba.
Can you tell us a bit about that?
Oh, well, it was the front line of the defence for Australia at that stage. Yeah. We were there for about 10 weeks, I think it was.
And there were other battalions up there at the same time?
Oh, yeah. Do you want me to name those?
Yeah.
The 2nd 14th, the 49th Queensland Battalion, the 53rd New South Wales Battalion. There's the 4 of us, you know.
And you was just staying in the showgrounds there in the stables?
Oh, yeah, we were. I don't know where the others were, but we were definitely in camped in the stables.
What was that like?
Oh, well, you imagine what it'd be like in the horse stable, but we didn't care. We, you know.
After Toowoomba, you went up to
Salon.
Can you tell us something about life and training at Salon?
Outside of Charters Towers. Oh, no, it was good because we were close to the Burdekin River, you know. Get down there and have a swim and that sort of, you know, it was really good. But it was only, you know, and we didn't do much, you know. I was in a party that was out cutting trees for storing ammunition in the holes, in the dugouts that we dug, you know, in the holes. It was all lousy timber, you know, and you had to battle around to get the logs long enough to do the sides. Yeah.
And Charters Towers was a major airfield for aircraft leaving for New Guinea, and you did some night patrols there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Night time. There was fifth column activity going on, and at night, as soon as it got dark, the flares would go up, pointing to the dome.
Because the Battle of the Coral Sea was on at the time.
That's right.
And there were a lot of American aircraft using Charters Towers.
It was a big American base, you know.
It would have been dangerous doing night patrols around there with the tin mines. Can you tell us something about that?
Oh yeah, well, you know, they hadn't been filled up and that sort of thing, yeah. But we managed to avoid those, you know. But you know, getting through the scrub and that sort of thing. No, it was all right, you know.
And you were there 3 or 4 months, but
no,
why?
no, not that long. Oh, well, Charters Towers for that long.
Charters Towers.
Oh, Salon for that.
And one of your lieutenants was accidentally killed.
Yeah, Lieutenant Alexander, yeah.
And he was killed just with his revolver, just accidentally discharged?
Yeah, oh, well, it didn't accidentally. The chap took it out of the pouch, you know. He was laying down playing cards with the boys, you know, and the chap took it out. It was definitely accidentally. He was looking at it, he must have pulled the trigger and that sort of thing, but it was definitely accidental, you know. No doubt about that, you know.
And you were
really knocked him properly, you know, the chap, you know. He was quite a lot older than what we were, you know.
So you were basically about a company strength reinforcements up there at
about
Salon for the 39th.
Yeah, would have been about that.
So soon after 3 or 4 months up there, you then left by ship for Papua New Guinea.
Yeah, for Moresby, you know. Yeah, yep.
How'd you feel about when you got to Port Moresby?
Oh, good. I thought we'd achieved something at last, you know.
And after Port Moresby, you marched up to the Koitaki area?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you stayed there for quite some time?
Oh, no, we didn't march that far. We got a ride in a truck. One of the chaps, Sharky Allen, I think his name was, he had his arm over the back of the truck, you know, like that, you know, and an American come down and clipped his arm. Didn't take it off, but, you know, really made a bloody mess of it. The two tail pins just touched one another, you know. He had his arm over it. Sharky Allen, he was a bit of a larrikin, but he was all right. He's a good bloke.
So you spent some time at Koitaki doing lots of patrolling?
Oh yeah, patrolling and that sort of thing, and training and, you know, marching. That's all they could do, you know.
You did lots of marching, and Captain Seawood, who was the company commander of C Company, was, and he was from Western Australia, ex-2nd 11th, I think.
That was after we came down back towards Moresby.
Mm.
Yeah.
He was keen on you doing lots of drilling.
Oh yeah, yeah. But see, we dug those positions outside the drome at Moresby, at the 6 Mile drome. Up the end of that, we dug that, and we got bloody terribly sunburnt. You know, no water, no washing, and you know.
Your lieutenant was Lieutenant Johnson.
Johnson, yeah.
And the sergeant was Keith Kerslake and Jack Flanagan. Can you tell us a bit about those men?
Oh, well, they were really good blokes, really. 2 good blokes, you know. But Keith wasn't with us so long, but Jack Flanagan was with us the longest, you know. Jack Flanagan was the sergeant up at that Hombrong Bluff, but Keith Kerslake was there, you know, that he was in the photo. That was Keith in the photo. You know.
And the photo you're talking about is the photo in Vic Austin's To Kokoda and Beyond on page 175.
Yeah.
And you're in the back of that. That shows some reinforcements training at Koitaki.
There were only the five reinforcements in that group. You know.
And that was at Hombrong Bluff, you said?
Yeah.
And Keith Kerslake had just come out of the fighting at Isharava and on the track.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he was a good sergeant, you said?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Terrific, mate. Yeah.
Well, after quite a bit of time at Koitaki, you then flew to Soputa to join the battalion going back up to the battle level.
The whole battalion went back that time, you know. It was one Saturday we'd had a bit of a sports meeting. I wasn't in the sports meeting because my legs were crook, you know, ulcers and that sort of thing. And it was one Sunday afternoon they told us that we'd be going back on the Monday morning, and that was it, you know.
And the battalion had been well rested and reinforced after the battles on the track?
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, if you call it well rested. Yeah.
And you arrived at Soputa, and apparently there was a dogfight going on while you landed.
While we were in there, yeah. Yeah, they told us to. At the double, once we landed, at the double,
And how was the feeling, the morale at that stage with your company and your platoon?
No, it was all right. Yeah. And when we landed there, just after we landed, one of the planes crash landed on the strip, that had been up in the fight, Yeah.
But 15 platoon to you was a really top platoon and a good bunch of blokes.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
After Soputa, you had the march basically at the double
Oh,
up to Gona. Tell us a bit about the heat and.
No, we had a march. Oh yeah. Oh, it was just the heat, There's only 3 of us finished that march, but the others caught up later on, We were the 3. There was an officer, I don't know who it was, but another chap and I and the officer, we were the first 3 to get there, Not to Gona. We stayed at night on this place where I don't know what it was. I wouldn't know the name, but it was on logs, I know that, over swamps and that,
And you finally arrived at Gona. What were your first impressions of Gona?
Oh, the smell of it was the worst part of it, I think, that I can remember it anyway, But it stuck out in this kunai grass, like in the sun, it was just silly, We could have been on either side of it in a bit of shade,
This is in December 42, probably one of the warmest months of the year.
It could have been, Ross, I don't, because we didn't know anything about those things,
And then you're involved in getting Gona cleared out, and Lieutenant Evanson was your lieutenant at the
Everson,
time.
but he got hit,
He was wounded?
Yeah, didn't.
And tell us a bit about, you were involved in a bayonet charge at Gona village itself.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about that?
Oh, well, so many of us went in, and I know there was only 26 of us got out of it, but some of them weren't all killed, or some of them were wounded, of course, Yeah.
There was lots of bombing from planes. Was that effective?
Well, it wasn't a lot. No, it wasn't effective at all, No.
Why was that?
Oh, well, the nature of the ground and all the rest of it, it was soft, sandy soil, and the bombs would go in and, different thing if it was hitting hard ground and concussion and all that sort of thing, But it was only from where it was, they were dive bombing, coming in. They were very slow, according to what the boys in the Middle East with the Stukas from the Germans, and they used to come straight down like that,
You were getting your legs dressed at RAP one day, and some
doctors.
bow fighters come in. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Oh, well, they strafed us, our own planes, the bow fighters, our own planes, hit a few natives, quite a few natives,
And nearly hit you and the doctor.
Oh yeah, it was close. Yeah. The doc said, "Phew, that was close."
When you're at Gona, the 4 Japanese tried to escape on the beach one night. Could you tell us a bit about that?
That was the last night. The next day we cleaned up Gona.
One of the Japanese got very close to you with a hand grenade.
Oh yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about that?
Oh well, it was dark, pitch dark. You couldn't see much, but you could hear them yabbering, coming closer and closer,
And when this Japanese was shot, he must have had a hand grenade.
Oh, he did. He definitely did.
And it went off just near you.
Yeah.
And you.
His head took most of it.
And you got a few pieces in your face, scratched on the face of it.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about that?
Oh, he didn't feel much. He just felt the blood. But didn't feel anything. It didn't hurt.
At Gona, you were also suffering. You were quite sick at times with.
Oh yeah.
Dysentery and malaria.
Yeah. Yep.
That must have been very debilitating.
Oh, you couldn't see straight, I know that. Yeah.
You also were stationed with a boys' anti-tank rifle on the beach.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It seemed a bit ridiculous. Tell us some more about
It
about
was.
that.
It was.
And the Japanese barge.
Yeah, I could hear the Japanese barge coming. You didn't know where it was going to land there or up further. But obviously they went up as far as Sanananda. Yeah. It's a funny feeling, hearing the old donkey engine driving it. But if they had had flares or anything like that, we could have seen it. But it was that close in.
So there weren't many left from the platoon. About 8, I think.
About a dozen of us left, and some of them weren't from our platoon. They were just, and I think 4 of them collapsed before we took off on the day we cleaned Gona up. We went through.
And that was dropping grenades in foxholes. Can you tell us a bit about that?
I did that because I said to there was an officer. I said, "This looks as if it's being used, or close." So we dropped a hand grenade into it, and that was it. That was over then. It was all over.
And how was the feeling amongst the platoon that the fighting was over at Gona, at least the Gona mission?
Well, it wasn't too many of us left. Wasn't too many of them left. As I said, there was only about 8 of us in the last. Whether any of the others, the 16th or any of those, did anything, well, we wouldn't know. Because there was no communication or anything. No. But no, they were all, too crook to be worried about anything else,
Can you remember a cross at the Gona mission?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. It was still there at the finish.
Through all the bombing and fighting?
Yeah.
It never fell down?
No, it was just a little bit to the right-hand side, actually. But no, it stayed there all the time, Yeah.
I think that cross is still there today.
Yeah, so you said, Ross. Yeah. It's quite a fair size. Didn't the 39th, after the war, didn't they help to support some of the natives going to the high school?
I think so,
Yeah,
yes.
they paid their fares.
Yep.
Yeah. No, we contributed to that, Yeah.
Did you have a bit of a break at Gona before you went on to Hattie's village?
No, just straight on. Yeah.
Can you remember who your platoon sergeant was then, or did you just have a corporal?
Oh, there was a corporal, and no, we didn't see anyone, because you didn't know whether they were corporals or sergeants or anything, like you didn't know the officers. They had no identification on them or anything like that,
You were still a private at that stage?
Oh, yes, yeah.
But you'd probably had a fair bit of experience in the short time you were there.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Hattie's village, or West Gona as it's called,
Yeah.
is the area you moved to next.
Yeah.
And you were one of the forward scouts, is that right?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about being a forward scout going into Hattie's village?
Well, it was a bit scary, but I didn't get quite to the village. They relieved me just before we got to the village. But you were, going down all the time, going closer. But after Gona's experience, you didn't know what you were in for.
Was your weapon at that stage just the rifle? Did you have various weapons? A
No,
Thompson
I
machine
had
gun?
a Thompson, not a Thompson, a Owen gun.
And what were they like, the Allen guns?
Oh, they were good. They were smaller than the rifle. You could handle them, bloody rifle. First World War rifle, But no, they were good.
And they were a good weapon at close quarters? And
Oh yes, yeah. They wouldn't stop anyone coming, But they were good.
And they were good for the tropical conditions, because
Oh
you could
yeah,
get them a bit dirty. And
Oh yeah, yeah. Yep.
at Hattie's village, one of your friends was killed on the 14th of December.
Yeah. Jeff Selman.
Can you remember that?
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah. And Cole McMillan lost an eye, and I don't know what happened to Spriggy Kelso, but Frizzy Barnett wasn't there, but I met him there that afternoon on the 15th.
Jeff Selman, who was killed, was one of the original 5 who left the 24th Battalion.
Definitely so was Cole McMillan, Frizzy, Ken Barnett, and Spriggy concert. Yeah.
So that must have been a bit of a sad day for the,
Oh, it
for
was.
the boys.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Yeah, I tried to get him out, but I couldn't get him out. Yeah.
Also, your corporal was Ron Bolton, and he was wounded at Hattie's Village.
Yeah.
And then what happened after that? Did you take over the section?
Oh, I suppose so, but, you know, he didn't make much movement or anything like that. You just waiting, you know. Yeah. There wasn't much to do, but when the Japs tried to break out, you know, there we had a bit to do for a while.
Can you tell us a bit about that? Did they try to get past you?
Oh, we wouldn't know what they were trying to do, whether they were just coming out and, you know, expected to get knocked off, or, you know, you wouldn't know. And like a lot of trees, saplings been knocked out with the firing and all that sort of thing.
You also were in charge of some native bearers bringing some food into Hattie's Village.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Oh, it was all right. Getting up, they knew where they had to go, but getting back was a bit of a difference, you know, because getting a bit dark and they all wanted to get back early and that sort of thing. But no, that was all right, you know, managed.
And you met some natives who had been with the Japanese?
Yeah, two natives. The Japs had apparently sent them out to see what was going on. Now, the natives that I was with, they didn't take too kindly to them. But anyhow, everything, you know, was all right. I wouldn't know what happened to them in the finish. Wouldn't know a thing.
It was good having the natives there to help bring in things like stores and ammunition?
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah, definitely. We wouldn't have got it any other way. They saved the day up there right through the mountains and everything. They were never rewarded enough to what they did. No.
And you mentioned before about the smell of the bodies at Gona.
Oh, yeah.
The stench.
Yeah.
Can you tell us something about that?
Well, just absolutely putrid. I didn't see anyone, but I believe people were vomiting and dry reaching and that with the smell and that, you know.
So, were you there at the end of the Hattie's Village?
No. I was back. I said I had ulcers on both legs, and one arm was ulcered, and all the rest of it, you know. They sent me back to a little bit further back to get a bit of a rest up, you know. Then we went up to Sanananda.
And you walked all the way to Sanananda? That must have been a tough walk in that heat.
It was, with the condition you're in. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Because you would have still had dysentery and malaria.
Oh, yeah.
And it would have been very debilitating.
Yeah. And I had ringworms on both legs, ulcers, and I had an ulcer in that, and you could see the bone in that leg. You know.
In your right leg?
Yeah. Under the knee, you know.
But you were still fit enough to fight?
Oh, yeah. Well, you couldn't get out. Yeah. You know. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So you finally got to Sanananda, which was a pretty tough walk.
Oh, yeah.
And what was that like when you finally got there? Because the Americans were there, were they?
Yeah, we relieved Americans. Yeah.
And can you tell us a bit about the night that there were some Japanese there, and you threw a grenade at some Japanese, and the Japanese shot? And...
Yeah, well, you didn't. They were in the scrub and that sort of thing. You couldn't see anyone, but someone's sung out, throw a grenade, which I did, and you know, Jap had a shot at me.
And you had lots of your rounds set up
it was only
on the ground in front of you?
What they called a bandolier, Ross, and there was 50 cartridges in that, or 50 bullets in that, and he hit one of the sections which had 10 in it, and 7 of them exploded. Yeah.
And you were this damaged to face, or you were wounded on the face?
Oh no, apparently I got something in the eye that day, but only very small bits of stuff, and wasn't until I got out of the army I went to see about it. And the specialist said, "You've got 3 bits of metal in your eye." I didn't know, that was the least of your worries.
And at Sanananda, there was a Lieutenant Reed who basically said, "You've done your bit."
Yeah.
And you got sent basically off to hospital.
Moresby, to the hospital, yeah.
Do you remember much about that?
No, not a thing.
You don't remember getting on a plane?
No, not a thing.
You must have been right out of it at that stage with your malaria and dysentery.
Yeah. No, I don't remember a thing. I've asked doctors too, what, and they said, "Oh, you must have been pretty crook, but definitely I don't remember a thing."
So
you would have struck other people the same as that.
Yes. You got back to a hospital at Port Moresby?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you remember getting into hospital?
No, I don't remember getting into hospital, but I remember being in hospital. I got no idea of how I got there. Like I would have got out off the plane. I would have got up to in a truck or something, whatever. But I don't remember getting into the hospital. But I remember being in the hospital. Yeah.
And there was an ammunition dump beside the hospital.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That was a bit of a strange.
Oh well, that's what they did, didn't they? They all did the same thing,
And you stayed in the hospital for some time?
I would have been only a few days, Ross. Week at the most,
At the hospital in Port Moresby, did you recover sufficient enough?
Oh, I don't know, because I don't remember leaving the hospital and getting onto a boat going home. I don't remember anything about that. So apparently I hadn't,
So you hadn't really sort of come out of your sickness properly?
No, apparently not, Because if I had, I would have remembered these things, but I definitely didn't.
So you were evacuated onto a ship at Port Moresby?
Yeah.
And that ship arrived in Sydney?
Yeah.
Was it good to get back home?
Oh, yeah. Went up to Bathurst. Yeah.
And there was a big army hospital at Bathurst?
Yes, yeah.
And that would have been good, because that would have been a properly equipped hospital compared to New Guinea?
Oh, yeah, but the reception we got there was absolutely marvellous. The women that was in the hospital, they did anything for you and all that sort of thing. Fixed up a few of your clothes, because we were reissued with clothing, and all that sort of thing. Fixed up the uniforms and that. It was really great there. I'll never forget their attention. Never.
Because you would have been one of the first casualties back in Australia nearly at that time, because they were the first battles, the early battles in New Guinea.
Yeah, well, no, a lot of them, a lot of them would have been back there before us,
But you were well looked after.
Oh, yes, definitely, yeah.
And you spent a bit of time at Bathurst Hospital recovering?
Yeah, it wouldn't have been too long, Ross. Would have been perhaps a couple of weeks at the most,
And then you were given some leave to go back to Melbourne.
That's right, yeah.
Was it finally good to go back to Melbourne?
Oh, yes, good to see your family and that, yeah.
Yeah, was your mother glad to see you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and then we went back and got back as far as Sydney.
And did you get married while you were down in Melbourne?
Not that time, no. Got back as far as Sydney, and I must have flaked out to it on the train, and I finished up in the Concord Hospital. And then they sent me back to Ballarat after a time, and that's when I got married.
Did you know your wife prior to?
Oh yes, yeah, definitely, yeah.
And you were in hospital in Ballarat for a while?
Yeah, for a few weeks, yeah.
And then got married down in Melbourne after that?
Yeah.
Did you have some leave with your wife? A bit of a honeymoon?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I had leave due to me, and I got leave, But what no, that was all right, worked out all right.
So you wouldn't have been married that long, and then you would have had to go back up north?
Oh yes, yeah. That's a bit hard going back again, after just get married. Oh no.
Did your wife write a lot to you while you were away after you left?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And you wrote back to her?
Oh yeah, when you could. When you had paper to write on or something like that. Yeah. Oh no, it was all right. Yeah.
It must have been great to get letters when you went back to New Guinea. How did you feel? Did you get regular letters?
Oh yes, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, that mail was pretty good. Didn't take long either to get. Only a couple of days at the most. Sometimes a day. Even.
That must have been good for morale.
Oh yes, yeah, yeah. Oh no, they did good. They did plenty of good things like that.
So prior to going back up into the islands, once you recovered, you went back to the Atherton tablelands in Queensland because the 39th Battalion had been disbanded.
Disbanded when I got back. Yeah.
This is in 1943.
Yeah.
So the 39th Battalion had been scattered to all other units.
Well, as you got back, But second, I think they got the most of them.
The 2nd Battalion got I think a whole company of 39th
Yeah,
Battalion.
I think they got the most of them. Yeah.
And you joined the 6th Division.
Wasn't a matter of choice. I would have liked to got into the engineers, but I finished up. They put me into 6th Div salvage unit. That was it.
How did you feel prior to that about the 39th being disbanded? Did you have any...
Oh yeah, you're a bit crook on it, but still, what could you do? Yeah, you couldn't do a thing.
Did any 39th guys join the 6th Div salvage unit, or were you the only ones?
No. Dave Grant did. He was in the 39th. He was a good mate of mine. Like I didn't know him until I got into 6th Div, into the salvage unit. I didn't know him, but no, we became pretty good mates. And I visited him up in Albury and that sort of thing. He'd come from Albury. And I heard he died, and they sent me run me up to tell me he died, but I couldn't go up to his funeral. I had a specialist appointment with the doctors, but we kept in touch with one another,
So did you get a fair bit of training with the salvage unit? Because that was...
No.
That was bomb disposal?
Yeah, bomb, yeah.
What other duties did they perform?
Oh, just whatever came up, anything.
And were they a good bunch of blokes to be with?
Oh, yeah. You're all right. We're doing our job, that's the thing, Yeah.
So after the Atherton tablelands with the 6th Division, you then moved back to New Guinea with the salvage unit.
Yeah.
Back to Wewak.
No, Itaipi
for that campaign.
Yeah. And then down to Wewak. We finished up at Wewak,
And you've got some views about why the Australian Army were at Itaipi and Wewak.
Oh, why they were there was to help the Yanks over in Luzon if they were required. And they weren't required, so they sent us down to sent us down to Wewak. And there's quite a few boys lost too. Yeah.
And there were some elections happening in Australia at the time.
Yeah.
That had some influence on it?
Oh, very much. That definitely has. Yeah.
And you spent a fair bit of time in that campaign with the 6th
just on 12
salvage
months.
unit?
Just on 12 months. Yeah.
And how did you find that?
Oh, it was all right. Yeah. But we lost 2 blokes. Stuff went off early. Yeah.
Were you living in the bush with the troops, or?
Oh no, wherever we were required, like that, we'd shift, Remember one place we were at, and we had mud and slush, and we didn't see the sun for about 6 weeks. Like the jungle was that dense and that, That was crook.
It was a big campaign. There were lots of battalions on that.
Oh, the whole 6th Division. Oh yeah. No, they lost quite a few troops, mate, See, the Prince Alexander Ranges were pretty steep. Yeah. Really steep.
And how was your health as far as the malaria and dysentery there?
We got a lot of malaria all the time,
Was that reoccurring while you're up there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But the 6th salvage unit, we came across a Japanese cemetery. Well, not a cemetery, where they used to store their bodies, there'd be a little box and a bit of hair in it and, a bit of bone and ash and all that sort of thing. That was crook because handling those, they were that out in the bush that long, they'd fall to pieces in your hands, you know. That was crook, you know. Not, you know, you were trying to do the right thing all round, you know. That was crook. There's plenty of them, you know. And all the trucks that were along the sea, there was always skeletons underneath the trucks and all that, you know. They died there, you know.
So there was still a lot of Japanese up there in that campaign.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. When they came out of the hills, you know, they had to bring them down. They put them out on an island, just out a little bit from the mainland, you know. But they were crook. They were cruel buggers, you know, to their own troops. Yeah.
How was the food up there? Were you still eating bully beef, like you were down at...
Oh yeah, bully beef and rice and stewed apple and all that sort of stuff, you know.
Had the army improved a bit in its uniform or boots or weapons or anything since Gona, or were you still the same situation?
Still about the same, you know. Perhaps the boots might have improved a bit, a lighter boot, you know. Sometimes you get lucky enough to get a lighter pair, you know, and that sort of thing. Yeah. But they're all strong, you know, army boots. Yeah.
Were you still carrying weapons then with the salvage unit?
Oh yeah. Not so much, but we definitely, if we had to go out anywhere, yeah, definitely, you know. Yeah.
And there were a pretty good bunch of guys you were with?
Oh,
were you in a platoon or just a section?
Oh no, there was only about 40 of us in the unit.
So it was quite a small unit?
Oh yes, yeah, definitely, yeah.
That would have been a very close-knit unit then?
Oh yes, yeah. No, there was only about 40 of us all. There was only a lieutenant was in charge of us, you know. That was it. There was one sergeant and a couple of corporals. That was it, you know, all the rest were troops. But a lot of the chaps had been through the Middle East and all that, you know. Some, you know.
And with that unit, you were promoted to a corporal?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. Dave Grant was the same. He was promoted too. Yeah.
Was that straight from a private to a corporal, or did you go through the Lance Corporal stage?
No, straight to the corporal. Yeah.
Would that be a pay rise also?
Oh yeah, a couple of bob a day more. Yeah.
And when you got paid, did you see any money, or did it go back to Melbourne, or did part of it go back to your mother?
Oh yes, yeah. You didn't handle that sort of thing. No, you got a bit of money, you know. You didn't get much at all because there wasn't much to spend things on, you know. I didn't drink and
didn't smoke?
Yeah, a bit. Yeah, a bit, yeah.
Because the army would have supplied cigarettes in those days.
Oh, no. Tobacco, roll your own. Oh, no, they didn't supply anything. You had to pay for that, but it was cheap. It was only about a shilling, I think, for a couple of ounces of tobacco. There was no duty on things up there. Yeah.
Did you get a beer ration also?
Yeah, there was a beer ration.
So what did you do with yours, Orm?
I gave it away. What happened was that if there was a ration, you might only get 2 bottles when there was a ration, and you might only get 1 ration in a month.
Oh, so it wasn't a regular ration?
Oh no, definitely not. No. And of course it was hot beer, and of course some of the places go a bit bloody silly.
After a few hot beers.
Oh yeah.
And you gave yours away, so
yeah.
I suppose you had a few good mates around you at the time.
Oh no, I think I used to give mine to Dave Grant, a mate of mine, like the other corporal, you know, because he was a cook.
Oh, so did you get fed well from Dave?
Oh no favours, no favours. You know. He had a bit of a barber. He used to cut your hair, you know, and that sort of thing. So he used to cut mine. I used to cut his. So that squared the ledger.
Being a corporal in the section, you would have had some more responsibility than being a private soldier.
Oh yes.
So did you have control over so many men, or were you expected to have responsibility for certain duties there?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about that?
Oh no. But at one stage there, while we were at Itapi, I ran the canteen for them because I was the only one that had any experience like in shop trade and that, you know, with being a butcher and that. But no, it worked out all right, you know.
That would have been good running the canteen.
Oh, I don't know about that. It was extra. You had to balance the budget and all that sort of thing and go and get stuff, and that. Yeah. Oh, it was a bit different, it took away. Yeah.
And you were still involved in the bomb disposal at that stage?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
What was that like? Were there many of these? We're talking aerial bombs or artillery shells?
Yeah, anything, yeah. Artillery shells and all that sort
just
of thing.
ammunition, mortar shells that were being left behind?
Yeah, anything like that. We'd blow them up, dig a bit of a hole and blow them up and that sort of thing. Landmines and things like that, Yeah.
You would have had to prepare them, put the charge in there and then blow them up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that would have made some quite large explosions then.
Oh, yeah. So, at Itapi, we did some Japanese landmine, but we dug a decent sort of a hole, and the whole bloody ground shook. We let them go, and the headquarters came down to see what was going on. Oh, no, it was all right. But most of the time you were out in the bush,
So after Itapi, did you then get back to New Guinea with the unit? Back to Port Moresby?
No. We went down to Wewak and we come home from Wewak.
By ship?
Yeah, by an English aircraft carrier.
Oh yeah, do you remember what name the aircraft carrier was?
Oh.
It doesn't matter. So
no, I forget the name,
but it had the aircraft on it?
Oh yeah, they had 2 aircraft on it, and they took off when we were getting close to Sydney, off the ship. But it was definitely an English aircraft carrier.
And what was it like sailing back on an aircraft carrier? Were you well looked after by the English?
Oh yeah, we were all right. We had stretchers in the, where they had where they had the planes and all that sort of thing. Yeah, stretchers. But it was pretty hard getting around because there was all metal, and we had these bloody hobnail boots, and it was pretty hard to walk on, But they had like lifts where they used to bring the planes up and down and that sort of thing. If you got lucky enough to catch one of those, you're right, Yeah.
And it would have been good coming back in the Sydney harbour?
Oh yeah, it was good. Yeah.
Right into the harbour in an aircraft carrier?
Yeah, right in. Yeah.
Would that have been in at the end of the war?
Oh yes, yeah. The war was over then. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the war ended while you're up
at Wewak.
At Wewak.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Was the surrender up there too?
Oh yeah. They went up to the hills. There was no Japs there much, but there was a case there. Now, whether this was right or not, I don't know. But there was the Japanese had Indian prisoners there, and there was only about a dozen of those left. And from what was told, they every now and again they'd knock one off and string him up and eat him, because they were short of rations and all that sort of thing. But anyhow, there was about a dozen of these Indians there. I saw them, I even spoke to them, and apparently there was a couple of thousand of them, and the Japs had brought a couple of thousand of these fellas down as labourers and that sort of thing. They were decent type of fellas. And at any rate, those dozen, they put them on a plane to fly them back to Moresby to get them back to India, and the plane crashed and killed everyone. Now, I'm pretty sure that's true. But of course, I've not been there and seen what happened, and that sort of thing. But they definitely were there, and that's what we were told. That there was a couple of thousand of them brought down from and they all got killed in this plane crash when they went back,
So you're at Wewak when the war ended.
Yeah.
How was it announced? Did the CO of the unit tell you, or?
Oh, well, he was only a lieutenant, yeah. No, we had a little radio rigged up, and I heard, I was listening to it. I was on guard this night, and I was listening to it about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I heard it on this radio, and of course I wasn't going to say anything in case it wasn't true, So anyhow, it came through, it was right, and that sort of thing, Yeah.
So how did you feel? How did the troops feel after that? They were pretty happy.
Oh, yeah, I guess so, yeah. Oh,
but you were looking forward to getting home.
Oh, yes, yeah. But you would have been, because, you realise just what stupid this was going down from Itapi down to Wewak, it's just a waste, We could have been doing better out of the army, We could have done more, Still, that was it.
So, back by aircraft carrier to Sydney?
Yeah.
and then from Sydney by train
Back to Melbourne.
back to Melbourne.
Yeah, yeah.
Must have been good to get back because you probably haven't seen your new wife for quite some time.
Oh, it'd be about 12 months or so then, you know. Yeah,
Well, when the war's finally over and you're back in Melbourne
yeah.
and you left the army, were you demobilised in Melbourne?
Oh, yes, yeah, at Royal Park. Yeah.
A lot of people were demobilised at Royal Park, weren't they? Was
Oh,
that the main?
That was the main place, yeah. Yeah.
And did you get one of those demob suits or?
No, oh, yeah, might have, yeah, yeah. I think they let you $10 or something, or £10 for a suit or something. I think, yeah, yeah. Oh no, that was no, I didn't. No.
So you were demobbed at Royal Parade?
Yeah.
Did you get any kind of lump sum payment or?
Oh yeah, we got. I think I had got £70 or something in charity or something, whatever they called it. You know, I think I got £70. Yeah.
And was that a fair bit of money in those days?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Wasn't enough, of course, but it was. Yeah. Yeah.
Because you'd been away for quite a number of years. You'd been in the army since 1941.
Yeah.
You'd been up in the islands for quite some time.
Yeah.
So, so then you went back into civilian life as a butcher.
Oh yeah. Continued on. So I was a butcher before I went in, and butcher after. You know. I went down. I got a job down in Albert Park. I stayed there for 8.5 years. You know, and I got into my own business. I worked for a good bloke down there, real good bloke, you know.
Well, Orm, on behalf of the 39th Battalion Association Historical Subcommittee, we would like to thank you for your time and this very interesting interview. Thank you.